So maybe the question was never how to protect your empathy. It was whether your empathy was ever yours to break in the first place, and if they broke the wrong one, perhaps the one they really needed was yours. Perhaps the only empathy that ever scared them was the one that refused to disappear. You stop seeing empathy as a weakness that gets exploited and start seeing it as a signal that you are dangerous to people who need to control others. Your empathy is not a crack in your armor, it is a lighthouse. And some ships were never looking for safe harbor. They were looking for something to crash into so they could blame the light. You have felt drained, used, or punished for caring too much. You have been told you are too sensitive, dramatic, or emotionally unstable. You have wondered if kindness makes you a target. You have asked yourself late at night, why does being a good person feel like an invitation to be hurt? By the end of this video, you will understand why your empathy was never broken. It was detected. You will see the exact mechanism manipulators use to test you, and you will walk away with a quiet, unshakable realization. They did not win. They just misread you, and that mistake will cost them everything. Stop me if this sounds familiar. You give someone the benefit of the doubt. You listen to their pain at 11 p.m. You adjust your mood to match theirs, just to make them feel safe. You cancel your own plans to hold their hand through their crisis, and then one day they turn on you. Quietly, coldly, like your feelings were never part of the deal, like all those nights you stayed up for them were just receipts they never planned to pay. That is not bad luck. That is not you being too much. That is a predator finding prey. That is a system testing a boundary. That is someone looking for a soft place to land their pain and then blaming the landing pad when they got hurt. And today we are going to look at the one thing they did not see coming, the one piece of you they forgot to check because they broke the wrong empath. And by the end of this, you will understand exactly why that was their final mistake. Let me give you a number. Research from the University of Cambridge and Stony Brook University found that approximately 15 to 20% of people are what psychologists call highly sensitive persons, or HSPs. That is 1 in 5. In a room of 20 people, 4 of them feel everything more deeply: sounds, lights, other people's moods, the unsaid tension between strangers. You might be one of them. You might have always known, because while other children bounced off walls, you sat in corners watching. While others argued and forgot, you argued and carried the weight for days. But here is the part no one tells you, the part the self-help industry hides because it does not sell nice quotes. That same sensitivity that makes you cry at commercials, feel exhausted after arguments, and apologize for existing, is also a threat detection system more accurate than most military-grade equipment. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist who mapped the human shadow, once wrote, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." Beautiful, poetic, and incomplete, because Jung forgot to warn you about one thing. Some people do not want transformation. They want absorption. They want to borrow your light because theirs went out a long time ago. They want to stand so close to your fire that you cannot tell where they end and you begin. That is not intimacy. That is colonization. So the first point is this. Write it down if you need to. Tattoo it on the back of your hand. 1. Your empathy is not a leak. It is a radar. Let me give you a practical situation. Imagine you walk into a coffee shop. 2 friends are laughing at a table near the window. You sit down 10 feet away. Within 30 seconds you know something is off. One of them is faking the laugh. The timing is wrong. The eyes do not match the mouth. You do not know why you know. You just do. That is not paranoia. That is pattern recognition. Your nervous system has seen that mismatch before. Maybe from a parent who smiled while being cruel. Maybe from a partner who said, "I love you," while pulling away. Your body kept the score even when your mind wanted to forget. The wrong kind of person, the manipulator, the emotional taker, the quiet vampire, does not hate your empathy. They depend on it. Because without your ability to feel guilt, they could not control you. Without your need to fix, they could not keep you stuck. Without your fear of being cold, they could not ask for one more thing. That is the first loop. Let me close it gently. You are not broken for feeling too much. You are built to sense what others pretend not to see. Your empathy is not a design flaw. It is a diagnostic tool. But here is the bigger question, the one that keeps you up at night. If that is true, if your empathy is a radar, then why do they keep winning? Why do you keep getting drained by the same kind of person? That leads us to the second point. And this one might make you uncomfortable. Let me put the second most shocking point right here, in the open, where it belongs. 2. Some people do not lack empathy. They weaponize your empathy against you. Most of us grow up believing that if someone hurts us, they must be broken. They must be unaware. They must not understand what they are doing. Surely if they knew how much pain they caused, they would stop. That belief is beautiful. That belief is also dangerous, because it assumes everyone is playing the same game by the same rules. They are not. Let me borrow from Friedrich Nietzsche. He wrote, "He who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster." Wise words. But the real danger is different. The real danger is that the monster does not need to fight you. It just needs you to feel sorry for it. Think about the last time someone hurt you, really hurt you, and then immediately played the victim. Maybe they said, "I am just going through so much right now. You do not understand how hard my life has been. I thought you were the one person who would not judge me. After everything I have been through, this is how you treat me." And what did you do? Be honest. You felt bad for them. You apologized. You said, "No, I am sorry. I did not mean to make you feel worse." You stayed. You gave more. You swallowed your own pain to make room for theirs. That is not love. That is not compassion. That is a psychological trap called guilt induction. And research in clinical psychology and forensic psychiatry has shown that manipulative personalities, especially those with what experts call dark triad traits, are often exceptionally good at reading emotions. They know exactly what you are feeling. They just do not care, except when they can use it. Let me repeat that because it is important. They do not lack the ability to feel your pain. They lack the willingness to let your pain matter. And sometimes they actively enjoy the control. A 2013 study in the journal Psychological Science found that individuals with higher levels of trait aggression showed increased activity in the brain's reward centers when they saw someone else in distress, if they believed that person deserved it, or if causing that distress gave them power. In other words, for some people, your suffering is not a signal to stop. It is a signal to continue. Let me give you a practical example, a real one you might recognize. You have a friend. Let us call her Sarah. Sarah always cancels last minute. She always has a crisis. Her job is impossible. Her landlord is evil. Her ex is a narcissist. Every conversation is an emergency. But here is the pattern. Every time you try to set a boundary, "Hey, I cannot talk tonight," or "I need you to show up on time," Sarah does not get angry. She gets sad. She tells you about her childhood, about her dead parent, about the time no one believed her. And suddenly, you are not setting a boundary anymore. You are comforting her for disappointing you. The conversation flips. You leave feeling guilty for having needs. She leaves feeling seen. That is the weapon. Quiet, efficient, and almost impossible to prove. So here is the realization that changes everything. Your empathy was never broken. It was profiled. They tested you. They told you a small, sad story. You responded with care. They filed that away as useful. They made a mental note. This one feels responsible for my feelings. And from that day forward, every interaction was not a friendship. It was a maintenance of that first test. Now, you might be thinking, so what do I do? Become cold? Build walls? Stop caring entirely? That leads us to the single most important point, the one that took me years to understand. And this one might sting, but stay with me, because this is where the real freedom lives. 3. They broke the wrong empath because the one they really needed to break was the one who stopped absorbing and started observing. Let me take you to a different kind of wisdom. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That sounds nice on a poster, but let me translate it for someone who has been used, for someone who has cried in a bathroom stall because a partner made them feel worthless. For someone who has apologized for being abused. You have been trying to fix people's feelings. That is not your job. That was never your job. Your job, the only job that keeps you safe and kind at the same time, is to witness what is happening without disappearing into it. There is a psychological fact called emotional contagion. We catch feelings like a cold. Someone walks into a room angry, and within minutes, everyone is tense. Someone cries, and we feel our own throat tighten. This is real. It is neurological. Mirror neurons fire in our brains as if we were experiencing the other person's emotion ourselves. But here is the thing no one tells you about emotional contagion. The antidote is not isolation. The antidote is not building walls or becoming cold. The antidote is differentiation, the ability to feel what someone else feels without mistaking it for your own emergency. Differentiation is a concept from family systems theory, developed by psychiatrist Murray Bowen. It means you can be close to someone without fusing into them. You can feel their pain without believing you must be the one to fix it. You can hold space without collapsing into the space. Let me give you a practical example, a before and after. Before differentiation, your partner comes home angry, maybe about work, maybe about traffic, maybe about something you said 3 days ago that you have already forgotten. Your heart rate spikes, your stomach clenches. You immediately ask, "Are you okay? What did I do? How can I help?" You start cleaning the kitchen. You walk on eggshells. You feel responsible for their mood. By bedtime, you are exhausted. They fell asleep 10 minutes ago. You are still awake, replaying everything. That is the broken empath, not broken as in damaged, broken as in over-functioning. You are doing their emotional work for them, and they did not even ask. After differentiation, your partner comes home angry. You notice it. You even understand why. You can see the tight jaw, the short replies, the way they throw their keys, but inside, something has shifted. You are not panicking. You are not running to fix. You are simply observing. You do not need them to stop being angry for you to be okay. Their anger is not a fire alarm in your chest. It is weather. It will pass. So you say calmly, "I see you are upset. I am here if you want to talk, but I am not going to drown with you tonight." That is not cold. That is not unloving. That is the most compassionate thing you can do. Because now you are stable enough to actually help, instead of just merging with their chaos and making everything worse. And here is the deep cut. The part that will sit with you long after this video ends. The people who hurt you, the ones who tested you, profiled you and used you, they do not want a calm empath. They want a frantic one. A frantic empath apologizes, overgives, over-explains, overfeels, and burns out. A frantic empath is predictable. You say, "I am sad," and they drop everything. You say, "You hurt me," and they collapse into guilt, making you comfort them. A frantic empath is easy to control because their empathy has no boundaries. It is a door without a lock. But a calm empath, a differentiated empath, someone who feels everything and still stands steady, that person is invisible to manipulation. Because manipulation requires urgency. It requires you to believe that right now is an emergency. A calm empath says, I see the emergency, and I am still going to breathe. So they broke the wrong version of you. They thought your empathy was your weakness. They thought your caring was your crack. But your empathy was just the bait. The real you, the observer, the witness, the one who feels without collapsing, the lotus in the mud, that one is untouchable. They cannot break what they cannot find. You might have noticed I have not yet answered one quiet question that has been sitting in the back of your mind. How do you actually build that calm? How do you go from frantic empath to lotus in the mud without becoming cold? That is intentional, because the moment I tell you, the tension releases, and you need that tension a little longer. Let it sit, let it itch. That is the Zeigarnik effect at work. Your mind hates unfinished business. That is why you remember the movie you never finished. That is why you stayed in bad relationships too long, hoping for closure. And that is why you are still here, leaning in. Let me give you a sensory break. Close your eyes for 3 seconds if you are somewhere safe. Or just imagine this. 2 blueprints. Blueprint 1, the sponge. The sponge sits on a counter. Water spills. The sponge absorbs everything. Clean water, dirty water, dish soap, poison. It does not choose. It cannot choose. It swells. It gets heavy. Eventually you wring it out. It has nothing left to give, and no one remembers to thank the sponge. That is the old empath. The frantic empath. The one who thought absorbing pain was the same as loving. Blueprint 2. The lotus. The lotus grows in mud. Thick, dark, smelly mud. But the lotus does not become the mud. It draws up what it needs. Water, a little nutrients, and leaves the rest. The mud stays mud. The flower stays flower. They touch. They do not merge. That is the shift. From sponge to lotus, from absorption to selection. From, I feel everything so I must fix everything, to I feel everything and I still get to choose what I carry. Keep that image. You will need it in the next 3 days. Trust me, I have been where you are. I have apologized for being hurt. I have stayed in rooms that were slowly killing me. I have said, it is fine, when it was not fine. I have woken up at 3 a.m. with a racing heart, unable to name why, and I have spent years reading the philosophers, the researchers, the trauma specialists, the survivors, Carl Jung, Marcus Aurelius, Friedrich Nietzsche, Murray Bowen, Bessel van der Kolk, Peter Levine, Judith Herman. I have sat with their words until the words became bones. What I am telling you is not opinion. It is not positive thinking. It is pattern recognition across thousands of years of human suffering. The Greeks wrote about it. The Romans complained about it. The Buddhists built entire meditation systems around it. The modern researchers just gave it new names. So when I say they broke the wrong empath, I am not being clever. I am describing a law of emotional physics. The same way water finds its level, manipulators find the frantic empath. And the same way a river carves a canyon, a calm empath becomes impossible to use. You want to know how to become the calm empath? The lotus? The one they cannot break. Here it is. The simplest, hardest thing you will ever do. You stop asking, what do they need from me? And start asking, what is actually happening right now? That one question breaks the spell. That one question is the difference between drowning and watching the waves from the shore. Because when you are caught in guilt, when you are in the frantic empath trap, you ask, how can I make this better? That is a beautiful question. That is also a trap. It assumes you caused it. It assumes you can fix it. It assumes their pain is your problem. When you ask, what is actually happening, you might realize something uncomfortable but liberating. They are not in danger. They are just uncomfortable. Their expectations were not met. Their pride was scratched. Their need for control was challenged, and their discomfort is not your emergency. Research in interpersonal neurobiology, specifically the work of Dr. Daniel Siegel, shows that the human brain cannot be in a state of empathic distress and compassionate action at the same time. They are two different circuits. Distress paralyzes you. It narrows your vision. It makes you smaller. Compassionate action frees you. It expands your options. It makes you clearer. So the next time someone tries to pull you into their storm, the guilt, the anger, the endless crisis, do not harden your heart. Do not build a wall. That is just the sponge pretending to be stone. That does not work. Just step back 1 inch, observe, breathe, say to yourself quietly, like a secret only you can hear. That is their wave. I feel it. I acknowledge it. I do not have to ride it. That is the empath they cannot break, because they never owned you. They only borrowed your attention. They only rented your guilt. They only assumed your fear of being seen as cold would keep you in line. But you just took it back, quietly, without a fight, without an argument they could twist. You just stopped absorbing and started observing. And that, right there, is why they picked the wrong person. Because the empath who learns to witness without drowning, that empath becomes dangerous. Not dangerous in the way they are, with manipulation and guilt and quiet cruelty. Dangerous in the way a still lake is dangerous. You cannot grab it. You cannot push it. It simply reflects back everything you throw at it. So let them throw. Let them test. Let them look for the frantic empath they used to know. They broke the wrong one. And they will not even realize it until you are already gone, calm, kind, and completely free. If this felt like someone finally gave you a name for what you have been living, if you felt seen in a way that rare and uncomfortable and hopeful, do not subscribe because I asked. Subscribe because the next video is called Why Nice People Finish Last and How to Stop Being Their Fuel. And that video will not tell you to stop being nice. That is lazy advice. That is for people who have never been where you have been. Instead, it will show you exactly how to turn your kindness from a vulnerability into a filter, a screen, a door that only opens for people who know how to receive without draining. It will give you 3 specific sentences to say the next time someone tests your boundaries. Sentences that are polite, unbreakable, and utterly disarming. You will learn why no is a complete sentence, and why the people who get angry at your no were the ones benefiting from your silence. Click the screen now, before your empathy talks you out of it. Before you tell yourself, I should just be more understanding. You have been understanding enough. Now it is time to be understood. Click. I will see you in the next one.